The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys!
This is Cowboys StoryLine with Nick Eatman.
What's up? Welcome to Cowboys StoryLine. It's been a little bit. February the 12th is the date right now. Wednesday, February the 12th. It's been a week. I know you guys love that. You love going weekly here. But let's see how quickly you can make these calls and get them in here. Let's see how many we can get here in about an hour and 15 minutes or so till the Cowboys break comes on at 11 a.m. All right, the football season is completely over. No more football until training camp. I know we got the draft, free agency, all that stuff, but the Super Bowl kind of capped that. And, you know, if you're listening to this show and you listen all the time, that means you're a diehard Cowboy fan, and that means you hated the Super Bowl, or I would think, unless you're one of those that didn't want Kansas City to get the fifth win. And I don't know. I think Philadelphia holding the trophy in the air is pretty gross. So I would imagine you didn't love it. We can talk about it, talk about what it means for the Cowboys and the Cowboys moving forward, how they can get back to that level or anywhere close to it. That's what we can talk about. All right, 888-855-2297 is the number to call. Let's go out west, Sacramento. It's pretty early out there. Greg, Sacramento, what's up?
Hey, how you doing, Nick? Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's a little cold over here, but I got the kids with me. They wanted to say hi.
Hi. Hey, what's up, kids? Go to school. Are they going to school?
Yeah, we're on our way to school. Yep, exactly.
That's awesome.
Because I tried college like during the other times. I've been trying to get off for like 3 weeks, but I feel like I've just been waiting too late to call maybe. So I figured today I'll call nice and early.
You got it.
So
you're first.
Yeah, I was the first one. I was kind of surprised, but anyway, we have a couple of questions for you, and actually Benji wanted to ask one. So
okay.
What did you want to?
What do you think about new coach?
What do I think of the new coach? All right, that's a great question. It's a great question. All right, Greg, what's your question?
Okay. And then my question is, I know you're not a big draft guy, but I just want to know, like, what position do you think would be? And I know we have a lot of needs on the team.
Yeah.
But what position would you like to see? I guess.
Yeah.
I'd like to see the Cowboys draft. And then actually, I did have one more question.
Okay.
How do I get your book? How do I get your book? I want to get a copy of your book because I want to bring Benji to training camp this upcoming, this next year, and I want to try to get your book signed and have him be able to meet you.
All right. Well, I'm going to bring some books to training camp this year, so I'll be able to have some.
Awesome.
So that's probably one of the easiest things to do. So I'll have some there, and
nice.
That won't look self-serving at all. But I'll bring some, have it, and then if I see somebody like I saw you last year on the fence and all that, and say like, hey, I need a book, I can go get one, and I can do that.
Perfect.
So, all right. Thanks, Greg.
Awesome.
And Benji.
All right, thanks.
See you later. First question from Benji. What do I think of the new coach? He's undefeated, and I say that I'm not really joking when I say that. Like, so we're not judging off anything other than what we hear and what we see and the stuff that he says. So far, so good. I like the staff that he's putting together, or he's pretty much put together. Seems pretty personable, down to earth, but also, he's motivated and all that. It all sounds good right now, and I get it. He's going to continue to impress people along the way until the season starts, and then from there, all bets are off, and that's just the way it goes. Everybody loved Jason Garrett. Everyone loved Jason Garrett as a player. For that awesome game when he was a player, just the stuff that he said. The offensive coordinator, when he was offensive coordinator, he takes over as an interim. Everything was good, and then you go 8-8 3 years in a row, and everybody changes their opinion. So my point is right now I like what I'm hearing and seeing, but I know it's early and no one gets judged on what they do in February and March and April and all that. But what position would I draft? I don't think they can cover all of their needs in free agency. They're not built that way. And so, unfortunately, that they're going to go into the draft with some pretty big needs. Fortunately, you do have the 12th pick, and then you got the 44th pick in the second round. So you got some spots where you should get some players early. I think your offensive line is going to be needed at 12. So I'm fine with one of those guard tackles there. And I'm fine drafting a tackle and saying, all right, well, so far it's not working out with Tyler Guyton. If he changes, and he gets better, great. But if you can't count on that at this moment, so I would draft an offensive lineman. I would be fine with that. I'd be fine if an edge rusher was the spot there, because what I saw from Philadelphia the other night, don't trade Micah. Give me another Micah. And I don't know if that's possible, but I'm not about trading Micah. I'm about getting more pass rush, more game wreckers, because that's exactly what happened there. So that's all right. Those are my 3 questions there. Good job, Greg and Benji and the kids are out in Sacramento. Let's go to Gary in New Mexico.
Hey, Nick, how's it going?
Good. How are you doing? Good morning.
I'm good, man. This is the best time of the year to be a Cowboys fan because we still have hope.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Oh, let me start. Let me ask you my trivia question for the week, if that's okay, and then
Sure.
I'll get to this year's team.
All right.
Okay. Philadelphia's defense dominated that game on Sunday.
They did.
So, in light of that, can you name for me the 4 Dallas Cowboy defenders to score touchdowns in the Super Bowl?
4 that have scored a touchdown in the Super Bowl. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go backwards here, or at least I think I'm going backwards. James Washington. He scored Super Bowl 28.
Should have been the MVP.
Should have been MVP. I agree with that. James Washington. Let's see. Ken Norton Jr.
Yep.
Jimmy Jones.
Yes.
Jimmy Jones. And then Mike Hegman.
That's a tough one.
Mike Hegman.
There you go, man.
Super Bowl 13.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's right, man.
There we go.
Hollywood, Henderson, Hill, Terry Bradshaw, and Mike Hegman stripped the ball and ran it in for 6. Man. I don't know this for sure, Ben. I think Dallas holds the record for most defensive touchdowns in the Super Bowl, but I don't know that for sure. But I will tell you this.
And who should have been the 5th one?
Who should have been the 5th one?
Well,
you talking about Dallas player to score a touchdown in the Super Bowl?
I'm talking about a defensive player that got really, really, really close to scoring a touchdown and didn't. Leon.
Oh
Lett.
man, is it Larry Brown?
It's Leon Lett is who I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, how did I miss that? Oh, that's embarrassing.
Well,
you should ban me from your show. For not
No,
knowing
because that's what happens when you're like next level. You're thinking of all the little other ones. You kind of forget that one, or most people have blocked that one out. But yeah,
that one still hurts me. I really wanted them to get 59 points in that game. I was mad when that happened. But yeah, you're right. Oh man, Leon Lett. How did we forget that?
I know.
Okay. Well, let's talk about this year's team. You're talking about the draft, man. For Dallas, just get the best player available. They don't need to cherry pick stuff. Whoever's the best player on your board, just draft him.
Yeah.
And go from there. But you saw that with Philadelphia on Sunday. Their defensive line dominated that football game. And if you go back and look at Cowboys Super Bowl champions, when they're winning Super Bowls, they have dominant defensive lines. They have number 1 picks across the board. That was true with Landry. That was true with Jimmy Johnson. You got to get strong in the trenches, man. The superstars on the outside are fun, but if you're not solid up front, it ain't going to matter. And what Philadelphia did on Sunday was just awesome, the way and more power to them, man. And I'm not mad or upset because the Eagles won the Super Bowl. My motto to Cowboy fans and to Jerry and Steven is just go out and do a better job. Go do a better job of building your team. But you got to get strong up front. So with that in mind, what are your thoughts on the defensive line and how we might be able to get better in that area moving forward?
I think to me, it starts with Micah, and I'm not about trading him. I'm about adding more pieces there, and I think like they did 2 years ago when it was just, how are these guys going to all play? Sam Williams and Dante Fowler, Dorrance Armstrong and Tank and of course Micah, and you just kind of figure it out, and they just stay ready, stay hungry, all that. And then when that doesn't happen, like this year, and then you're like, all right, well, we're a little bit depleted, and then you keep getting injuries. Now you've got a huge problem. So my point is, I'm overloading there. I'm overloading that position with pass rushers, and you can't have enough.
Yeah.
You just can't have enough. And then if the worst problem is that Sam Williams or Micah tweets out something like, you know, they don't play me enough or I need to play more, that's the worst thing, then that's fine, because then they're pissed off and then they rush the passer even better. So I just don't think you can have too many at that position, and I'm overloading there because that's what wrecks games to me.
Hey, can I make one more comment on that real quick?
Of course.
On that, a lot of people complain about Micah, and he talks a lot and makes a lot of noise.
Yeah.
If you go back and just look at Cowboys history, and this goes all the way back to the 70s, man, when they're winning championships, they have a little bit of crazy on defense.
Yeah.
I mean, Hollywood Henderson was a loudmouth show-off, but he backed it up on the field. Charles Haley, you know, he was out there a little bit. You need a little bit of that on defense. You need a little bit of an edge, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with having a little bit of an edge on that side of the ball.
Yeah.
But just go out and produce. So, all right, thank you, Nick.
Sure,
I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're right, Gary. I mean, you can go to Deion Sanders and, you know, I mean, Ray Lewis with other teams and Strahan. And I know that everybody's different in their own way, but being vocal, being loud, being confident, cocky, whatever you want to say it, swag is, you know, that's part of it too. And, you know, the Cowboys need a little bit. They need more of that for sure. So, anyways, good call. Thanks for the trivia question, and let's go to Brian in Kansas City. Brian, what's up?
Good morning, Mr. Eatman. How are you, sir?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Glad to be off for the day and get a chance to talk to Chris and you and hear what Cowboys Nation has to say about the Eagles. What is that?
How's it going? How's it going in Kansas City?
Yeah, I think you know the answer to that, sir.
I mean, seriously though, is it like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened, or is it still? I mean, is like when you don't win a third straight. I mean, you still have enough to hang your hat on a little bit.
Well, so you know, the culture here is Kansas City's kind of a smaller city. You know, it's not New York, it's not LA, it's not Chicago. So it's a little bit more of a smaller city feel. So when something like that happens, it's just crushing. You know, it's just soul crushing. Like, really? We didn't even play competitively. And, you know, as a Cowboy fan, I'm like, yeah, I feel your pain.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it was nobody, and I don't think anybody in the sporting world, I knew that the Eagles were really, really, really good in the trenches. Maybe they have the best offensive and defensive lines right now. And I didn't see it coming. And I've been watching football for decades and decades, and I just thought Mahomes is Mahomes, and somehow he's going to pull a rabbit out of his hat.
Yep, I agree. I thought so. So, All right, what do you got, Brian?
Well, so thinking that through, what I was wondering is, you know, listening to all the draft shows and all the people that do that for a living and analyze people well, I think this is kind of what I'm looking for, but it comes with a question. So I think, you know, getting better in the trenches, absolutely the way to go. In listening to all those experts, what I've heard is defensive line is a little on the deeper side. Offensive line, not so much this draft. So I'm kind of guessing that, you know, outside of, you know, maybe Genty falls to us, I don't really think he's going to fall that far, to be honest with you. I know running backs don't traditionally go real high, but I don't think he's going to make that. I don't think he'll be there at 12. But I'm kind of hoping for defensive line. My question for you is, and unfortunately, two of the guys I would like are both Michigan defensive linemen, which would probably give Cowboys fans an aneurysm.
Yeah.
But my question to you is, you've been in that organization a long time, and it's true across all professional sports, football. When they make a mistake, when there's hey, we made a mistake. How hard is it for an organization to refocus and say, we're going to draft that same position again?
Yeah. Are you talking about Guyton?
No. In this case, because
Mozzie?
the defensive line is the one that's deeper, I think we have a better chance at replacing Mozzie Smith.
Yeah.
And, just how hard would it be in he only played 2 years, but not well. And not saying he can't be a professional, but I think he's probably just a rotational guy.
Yeah.
Are they ready to make, just how hard is it,
Okay.
in your
All right.
opinion, in that organization to say, we made a mistake, we're going to move on? All right? And I love you, brother.
Thanks, man.
I hope enjoy the day, sir.
All right. Have a good day. Appreciate that. The thing about those type of questions about admitting that we've, made mistakes and moving on and all that, I think that when you have, in this case, when you have different coaching staff, and I get it that Jerry, Stephen, Will McClay, they're the holdovers. They're still here. They're still making the decision. But I think, you do get a lot of input from the coaches, Schottenheimer, defensive coaches. I don't think Schottenheimer and Matt Eberflus are going to worry about picks that were made before them and all that. Defensive, coaches or offensive coach in this case would be like, let me have this guy. If it's a Michigan lineman, a guy named Graham or whatever, first of all, they're in different systems than they were when they were drafted by the Cowboys. The Cowboys have a different system. So coaches have the biggest egos. They're like, let me put my hands around that guy. I got him. He'll be fine. Don't worry about all that. So I think from that standpoint, and then that's all that the Jerry, Stephen will kind of need to hear about, we draft another Michigan guy or something like that. Like that, not worried about it. This guy's different. He's special. We'll coach him differently, blah, blah, blah. All that coach speak. So I don't think that's the issue. What you're asking also is, when do you kind of cut the cord and say, let's go back to the well? And a defensive tackle specifically, that'll come down to what are they doing in free agency? Do they re-sign Osa? I mean, they have needs there. So, if you drafted one, I mean, just think about your O-line back in 2011. They finally drafted Tyron Smith. First time they drafted a lineman first round, 30 years. And then 2 years later, they draft Travis Frederick. The next year, they draft Zach Martin. So you're trying to build something. Sometimes it takes more than one. So I think that's a good question, but it's one that I think that, you just have to look at your team right now and say, what does this team need? It doesn't matter what we've done before. It doesn't matter about hoping this guy turns the corner. You're drafting this guy to think, does he make us better? And if it's the same position that it was, so be it. All right, let's go to Carolina. He's driving in Texas, East Texas, Longview, Texas. Carolina, what's up?
What's going on, boss man?
How are you doing?
Man, I'm all right. 125 calls just to get in. It's crazy. But your line is going, man. It is going.
Well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. I thought you were going to say 125 miles an hour. That when you said 125, I was like, oh, my goodness. So,
nah, it's raining real bad. That would be very bad.
Yeah.
I don't even think the truck go that fast.
Be careful. Be careful. What you got for me?
I got like 3 different points I want to hit on. First, I'm going to ask you, how long do you think they're going to wait to get this Parsons deal done? Because I think that's going to be evident to how they spend this money going forward to free agency. Not just our own, but, going outside. That's my first question.
Okay.
My second question is, if they do go ahead and get this done and open up the cap, in your eyes, where would you go? I mean, outside the building. What position group would you go? Because, of course, free agency is before the draft. So what need would you feel if you have like a thought of who's going to be available, names, just a position?
Yeah.
What would you go for first? And lastly, so I was listening to the Talking Cowboys, right? Not Talking Cowboys. I think it's a draft show. And they made a comment that I think they said Barry Sanders, if I'm not mistaken, said that the Cowboys shouldn't draft Tennessee because they don't know what to do with him. Like, what does that really mean? Like, in your eyes, what does that mean? They don't know what to do with him. I know there's a new coaching shakeup, So why would that be an issue? I mean, if a coach is a coach.
Who said that? Who said that? Barry Sanders?
I think not. Was it Sanders? He said somebody. Emmett Smith. That's who it was. I'm sorry, Emmett Smith. They said they had a backroom conversation with him at I think one of the Shrine Bowls or something like that out there in Alabama. And he said that they shouldn't draft him, and he felt strongly about it because they wouldn't know how to use him, basically.
All right.
Why would you think that's a?
Yeah.
Why would that be a thing?
It's not a thing. It's not a thing. And again, I don't know who said that, and I don't know if you're 100% sure on who's saying it. So let's not go into put anyone's name on it.
It was Emmett.
Okay. All right.
Emmett. I'm sure.
All right. Well. All right, Carolina. Thank you for the call. I got your point in here. Let's touch on that. That I didn't hear that comment, but that makes no sense to me at all. Especially if it was Emmett, because Ashton Jeanty looks like a faster version of Emmett, but similar in the way that they run. These guys know what to do with a running back that you drafted 12th overall. If you drafted a running back 12th overall, that's the reason why he's worthy of drafting is because you don't have to make that decision of what do you do with them. This is not Deuce Vaughn. This is not some power back that's 260 pounds. This is a 3-down back. That is why you take them in the first round, because you don't have to be a genius to figure it out. You run him here, you run him there, you let him block, you throw a screen to him. He can do it all. And if he can't do it all, then you don't draft him 12th overall. So I don't think he's even going to be available. Like Brian in Kansas City said, I don't think he's going to be there for you. So I don't agree with anybody's point, whoever's point that was. As I'm watching the mock drafts go here on NFL Network, and since last week, I haven't seen Ashton Jeanty get to the Cowboys at 12. And there's Walter Nolan. Ole Miss is the pick for the Cowboys in this particular mock draft. I think Jeanty went 7th. You don't have to worry about what to do with a guy like that. He's special, and I just think that's being ridiculous to think that these NFL teams, coaches don't know what to do. I didn't hear all that quote. There's got to be more to it. No disrespect to any Hall of Fame running back, but I think the Cowboys and in any team can figure out what to do with a special running back like that. The question was, how long will they wait? I don't think the Cowboys are going to be. They're not backed into the corner here, and they're certainly not going to be. If there's a narrative that Micah Parsons has got to get done so the Cowboys can do stuff in free agency, that only plays into Micah and his agent and all of that. And the Cowboys are not going to be a part of that. We know that. We know that they are not going to be, forced into making a deal that doesn't make sense. Now, if the deal makes sense today, you make it. If it makes sense before the draft, then you make it. But, it's got to work for both. And this situation is going to have to work for both sides. And then to answer the question of if they had some money available, what position in the salary cap? What position in free agency would I think the Cowboys address or should address? I would go with. I would probably go with some veterans on the defensive line. Maybe try to get another Dante Fowler, Carl Lawson type pass rusher. So you have some veteran there. I'm looking at a corner too. I would think cornerback. And those can get pricey in free agency, but there's a couple guys I think the Cowboys could target there. So defense for sure, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I wouldn't mind them re-signing their own guy in Jordan Lewis. All right, let's go to Robbie in Cocoa Beach, Florida. Robbie, what's up?
Hey, Nick, how are you today,
Good.
sir?
How are you?
I'm good. You kind of threw me off with your last answer to your question.
Which one?
That was kind of what I was going to ask about free agency.
Okay.
But can I ask it a different way?
Sure.
One of the earlier callers, Gary, maybe from New Mexico, maybe said it.
Uh-huh.
This defensive line class is supposed to be pretty solid. Do we go after an offensive lineman in free agency if we can? And second question, or statement question that you can expound on maybe is I like that I heard Micah Parsons say, hey, I'd like to take a team-friendly deal. I'd like to make a lot of money and get my bag, but still take a team-friendly deal that would help us get more players. I like to hear that. I don't know if there's truth behind it.
Yeah, I would like to see it. I mean, it sounds beautiful, but let's see what happens. Let's see if that really is the case, because a team-friendly deal isn't just about less money, but it's about the timing of it, like we've talked about before. Right. That would be team-friendly. You know, you want to get some help in here. You want to get some defensive players. You want to have a better offense so you can, build a lead so he can rush the passer more. Than do a deal now that makes sense.
And get that guy that you can't name because he's still on another team that wants out. Maybe, whoever. I'm just throwing that out there because I know you can't.
I mean, if you did that, that's just a party at the quarterback and then two guys meeting there. That
oh,
would
my
be,
God, that would be amazing.
Yeah. I mean, fans might really, might be back on board, and they might love Jerry and Steven, like more than we've ever seen.
Maybe.
If they did a move like that. But I wouldn't. Those pass rushers like that. I mean, they're tough to. Let's see what Cleveland's asking for, because we were talking about Myles Garrett. Let's see what they're asking for, because I say that because not for the Cowboys to make a trade, but my point is, if they're asking for the moon, then
it's not going to happen.
Then Micah Parsons trading for Mike, you better get twice as much for that.
Yeah, moon and a half.
The moon and like Jupiter. If that's for sale, I don't know if it would be worth anything. But anyways,
but I'm with you, man, and I have been since the get-go.
Yeah,
you don't trade Micah, because even if you get 3 first-round draft picks, do you get one more generational talent that Micah is?
Yeah,
who knows? I mean, the success rate on first-round picks is 50%ish.
Yeah, I mean, three first-round picks is a lot, and this was discussed at lunch yesterday. We were kind of talking about it, and 2 first-round picks doesn't seem to be worth it to me.
Enough, yeah.
Because you're getting one more pick, because you have a first-round pick. You have a dynamic in Micah Parsons, so you have that guy. So you've got to get another one, and you got to draft 2 to make it work. Now three is a lot. I just don't see that happening. But either way, I wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't trade him. I wouldn't. They got lucky.
Okay, so
go ahead.
Back to the first question, then I'll let you off the air. I want to talk to lots of people. Are there veteran linemen out there that you'd like to see brought in as a free agent for a 2-year deal, something like that?
Offense?
And I'll listen to it offense instead of defense, because the defense draft is supposed to be so deep this year.
Yeah. Well, all right.
I'll listen off air, man.
All right. Sounds good. I mean, you can take that in different ways. If the defensive line is so deep, then maybe you draft offense in the first round, and if you have this deep, class of defensive linemen, you can get something in the later rounds and they can still help you out. So there's different ways of thinking there. Another part too is, and I don't know this. I haven't looked this far on free agency and good players and from, like, let's say Arizona, because you are taking their offensive line coach and Clayton Adams, and now he's your offensive coordinator. Won't call the plays, but he's your offensive coordinator, and so he'll be working closely with. Sounds like Ken Dorsey's going to be a part of it as well. So, you're bringing in coaches from other teams. That's a different dynamic too. That like maybe this guy who's played with him, knows how to coach him, knows what he can do best. So I haven't even connected those dots yet, but that's something to do. You can do it for the defensive side of the ball as well. If the Bears have a free agent that's worth looking at, and you had Eberflus, or maybe the Colts from a few years ago. So the ties of the new coaches that might work. Now that's not always the case. I mean, I know Zimmer had a couple of guys in here that he has coached before. And he was like, "No, we're good." So just because you have history doesn't mean it's a good history. So anyways, that's something to look at when you're looking at free agency is some of the ties there between coaches and players. Let's go to break here on Cowboy Storyline, our first break. We'll be right back after this.
Discover Aiden, the official luggage partner of the Dallas Cowboys and Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. Known for top-tier engineering and craftsmanship, Aiden offers more than just bags. Originating from Australia and designed in New York, it merges fashion, design, and culture. Used by Dallas Cowboys players, staff, and the entire organization, Aiden provides style and functionality for all travelers. Visit AidenTheBrand.com and use code AidenXCowboys for 25% off your purchase. Travel like your favorite stars with Aiden.
How do you tell the world about all the great gifts in the Yeti store? Let her rip, Troy.
All right, folks, let's get started with the Yeti French Press. Enjoy coffee that stays hot for hours in a French press. 34 ounce for you, 6'4" for the cruise. The Yeti French Press. Hot mix waterproof bags. Bags waterproof. Submersible waterproof doubles. Waterproof bags. World's mostly water, so get a waterproof Yeti bag. Do I smell something cooking? Oh, new cast iron skillets made to be passed down like Mama's recipes. Take a steak, cornbread, cobbler's pot pie, and potatoes and next level with 3 sizes of Yeti cast iron skillets.
Gear, gifts, and product experts. Visit the Yeti store on McKinney Street and at South Lake Town Square today.
Altec Lansing has been perfecting sound since 1927, bringing you decades of audio excellence to elevate your Dallas Cowboys tailgate ritual. Equip your next pregame with the Sound Rover 180 with 6 hours of playtime, built-in microphone, multicolor light modes, and a rugged exterior that's built to last. Visit alteclansing.com/Cowboys15 for 15% off your Sound Rover 180. That's ALTECLANSING.com/Cowboys15 for 15% off. Altec Lansing, official audio partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
Back to Cowboys Storyline.
The most action-packed motorsports experience in the world returns to Arlington. Head to AT&T Stadium Saturday, March 8th for Monster Jams. Get your tickets now at SeatGeek.com, the official ticketing partner of AT&T Stadium. All right. Let's go back to the phone lines here. Let's go to Savannah, Georgia. We got Sebastian. Sebastian.
How we doing, Mr. Eben?
How are you?
Hey, listen, it's awful out here, but it could be worse, so we're fine. I managed to get through, so that's something.
What's awful?
I got a question for you, though.
What's awful?
Life. Just life today, but we're not getting into all that.
Okay.
I got a question for you.
All right.
Do you remember any one-arm players who just excelled head and shoulders above all the other pro players and made their way to the Hall of Fame?
Say that again? I'm sorry. I'm having a hard time hearing you. Say that one more time.
Let me switch to my phone real quick.
Okay.
I said, can you remember any of those one-arm players who excelled above all the other two-arm players and went to the Hall of Fame?
No.
Yeah, so you can't play the game with one arm. At this point, right. Jerry in the front office has to look at what Philly's done and what all the other teams have done and say to yourself, we can't keep playing with one hand tied behind our back. You have to spend some money in free agency this year. You got no choice because of the 20-something players you have going out. But the way that I look at this draft and look at the free agency is like this. One, we need Jalen Tolbert to either take that next leap or you're going to have to move on from him and find somebody better. And then, in my opinion, yes, Micah does need help, but I would prefer going free agency for a known commodity at alignment at D-lines, whether it be defensive tackle or a defensive end. And I would draft Ashton Genty. And then in that case, if I'm going for Ashton Genty and I'm doing that, I wouldn't be able to hold on to Rico Dotto. And I look at it like this. I take him, Ashton, Hunter Lipke, and I take Deuce into the season, and you are already letting Hunter handle all of the short down yardage anyway. I think that would be more than enough to get you over the hump at the running back part, as well as giving you a receiving option out of the backfield between Deuce and Genty. But I want to see, and we also need a linebacker for sure. So we need some known commodities, and we're going to have to spend a little bit more than a couple $1 million that we normally go to, shopping out the bargain bin. We are a draft and develop team, but you have to look at teams like Philly. Philly's like, listen, we don't care. We're paying a $55 million quarterback. We're paying one of the top wide receivers in the league, 2 of them, as a matter of fact. And we went to the Super Bowl 3 times in 10 years. All I want is for us to be a top 5 team in our conference. That way we're competing for it every single year, not going to the playoffs and getting knocked out in the first round. But you guys have a great day, and I'll listen to the show.
All right. I think you said draft Ashton Genty and then Hunter Lipke would be your short yardage back. I thought I heard that, but if you're drafting a running back in the first round, especially in the top half of the first round, he's got to be able to do everything. That's why you're drafting him. If he's not, then you get a guy in the second round or the third round. If you're gonna mix things up like that. But the reason why you draft a guy that like that is because he's special. And you drafted Zeke, and he was special. He was a short yardage back. He was your 1st and 10 back. He was your 3rd down back. He was everything. And I think that's what would happen if you drafted a guy in the first round. Again, I don't know if he's gonna make it that far, but if he does, I mean. He would handle that, and that's why you draft him. But I'm nothing against Hunter Lipke or Deuce Vaughn or whatever. I think those are good. They're good, solid players. Rico Dowdle had a good season, but I think if you want to upgrade, I think that you're going to have to do that through the draft. So as I see a mock draft just went through with Ashton Jeanty at 12, just like I just said. I haven't seen him go that far. Again, mock drafts. Do somebody's 5.0 mock draft, which basically just says, I'm just going to keep throwing stuff at the wall and see what sticks. It's before the combine. It's before the pro days. A lot of things change, but we get it. The draft is here. People are talking. The draft talk is here. That's what people want to talk about. I don't like to put a ton of stock in all that because things change. Somebody's going to go to the combine and run a 4.23. I don't know what position or what, but all of a sudden he becomes a first rounder. I don't think Xavier Worthy was a first round pick going into the combine, and then he ran the fastest time ever. And guess what? There he is. Chris Johnson from East Carolina, I remember, did the same thing. And you run like that. Matt Jones, former Arkansas quarterback, went to receiver, ran like a 4.31. At 6'6", all of a sudden he's a first-round pick for Jacksonville. So what my point is we're going to see 5 to 10 guys that we haven't even really heard about that are going to jump into the mix here, and maybe guys in the late teens or late, first round's going to move up higher and vice versa and all that. So the point is, it's still early in the game. It hasn't been, the story of the draft hasn't even begun to be told yet, so let's see what happens there. But I agree, Sebastian, with the bigger name free agent, even if that means you're not signing as many guys as because you have to sign some guys. There's no doubt, whether it be your own or not. But I'm going to at least attempt to make a few more splashes this time around. I just think it's got to happen this year for this team, this fan base, and the locker room. I think they need to make some splashes here. All right, Rick, Webster, Massachusetts. What's up?
Hey, Nick. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm all right. How's your week?
Good. No complaints.
Yeah, I just had a couple of comments. One that there was in Carolina. Emmett did say that, but he expanded a little bit. But he said he enjoys that it's a great running back, whatever. It would be a great choice, but I don't know if that based on what they've done last year, maybe the year before, how would they use them? If they don't know really how to use them and they haven't used them, why would you draft them?
I just don't know how would you what
that was on.
Go ahead.
It was on the 5-3 the fan.
Okay, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with the greatest running back in the history of the Cowboys who said that. I don't agree with it. What is he having to go off of how the Cowboys aren't going to use them because they didn't use Rico Dowdle the same way? That's not the same player. They haven't had this guy. They haven't had a first-round type running back sitting here like that for them to use. So how would you say based off of what? And I'm not one that says that they waited too long to get the ball to Rico Dowdle. I don't agree with that. Rico Dowdle started like 14 games. He got chances in the first half of the season. He didn't. Is Rick still there? Rick? No.
Yeah, the other couple other comments was where you were talking about the Genty may be a little faster than Emmett. Well, that's what Genty said when they asked him. So who do you think? Well, I think I'm a little faster than Emmett. And that just went off. But the other thing, talking about free agents that could come in, Clayton Adams, offensive line from Arizona, Will Hernandez is, I think, a free agent. So they could bring him over.
Yep. And that was a player, and it might have been, 10 years? I don't know how long he's been in the league. Maybe not that long. But I know the Cowboys loved him coming out of the draft. And I haven't really followed his career that much. But he was a guy that they were very high on, if I remember correctly. So, yeah, that would be good. All right.
Yeah, that was good. I think it's just listen to everybody talking and everything. I still believe that we should draft one of the first 3 rounds should be drafting a defensive tackle, a running back, and a wide receiver, and go from there.
Okay. Again, that depends on what they do in free agency. I mean, those are good 3 positions. I can name 3 more that it's like, how do you not draft an offensive lineman, a cornerback, or a linebacker? So that's the point, is that there's about 6 to 7 positions that make sense to address as high as the first round. That means that you're not going to address those positions. Some of them aren't going to get touched at all because they don't have a 4th round pick. So, you may not get some of those positions until the 5th round. It's just the way it goes. So, yeah. All right, Rick.
Thank you.
Appreciate the call. All right, let's move on to my man, Randy, Texarkana. Randy, what's up, man?
Well, I'm back in my truck trying to dry off. I mean, good gravy. It's raining like a cow pissing on a flat rock right now. Holy moly.
All right.
So what's been happening?
Well, just talking about the Cowboys and not making it to the Super Bowl again, and the Eagles. I don't know if you saw that they made it. So just
here.
Yeah,
that's what I was kind of wanting to touch that. I hadn't been able to listen this morning because I've been running crazy. But last night I was listening to Talking Cowboys, and them guys, they got me pumped up for about 5 minutes on all the new coaches. And then I started thinking, man, they're suckering me in, and it's only been over like a day or two. So I'm trying to monotone my feelings right now because, it sounds great. All the coaching changes and all that good stuff that they're doing. But until the front office proves that they're going to do a little bit of, free agents and good drafts to somewhat level the playing ground, I'm trying to not get suckered in too quick. We got a long off season, so
yeah,
that's where I'm at. And, and I'm not getting political here at all, but with seeing what's going on in the politics and seeing how money is what everybody's talking about, that is where we all need to focus. As long as the front office is focused on money, because that's what it's all about. And that's one. And then making it to the Super Bowl is 2. That's just my feeling. Until they have to start tarping off the top layer of that stadium because they're not making the money, then maybe they'll start listening to us and giving a crap what we feel. But I feel like while that money's rolling in and we keep packing the stadium, we keep buying the merchandise and all that, they're just going to do what makes them the money. And that's kind of how I feel. Hopefully they'll prove us wrong this year. I mean, they haven't done anything to say otherwise, in my opinion,
Yeah.
They just keep seeming to just do what's going to fill up the house, and whether we make it or not doesn't. It's crazy how you hear the old guys, from my day, like Troy and Emmett, Michael and all them, and them guys are frustrated. And I honestly figured they wouldn't say much because they're like, hey, look at us, what we did. Y'all can't touch what we did. But they're actually voicing their opinion quite a bit now. And you would think that would hold weight,
Not really, though. Not to me, and that's my point. And I just always say this. Out of all due respect to the former players, I just don't put a lot of stock into what they say about this current team, this current situation, this current locker room, all of that, all the chemistry. They don't know any more than us when it comes to what's going on here now. Do they understand football and what makes a great team and what they need? Yes. 100%, they understand that. But when you start getting into what's wrong with the team, what's wrong with the culture, what's wrong with things that it's hard to actually see from the outside, I don't put a ton of stock there. But I mean, but what I like about it is there's still Cowboys. They always will be. Troy, Emmett, Michael. If they're frustrated, then you guys can relate because y'all are frustrated. So. I like that part, but sometimes I have to just pause a little bit when I hear what they're saying, and I'm like, all right, let's see where this is really coming from, and are they plugged in? I mean, if they are talking to a lot of people inside the building, then they are plugged in. But sometimes former players just going off of their name and what they've done, that doesn't mean that they know what's happening. That's my take on it. Again, out of all due respect to former players and what they've done.
Can I put a slightly different spin on the same subject?
Yeah.
I kind of think that they do know this front office because they worked with them. They know how they think. They see what's going on because I forgot who it was. It was one of our guys that they were saying, it feels like Jerry is always trying to prove that he can do it because those 3 Super Bowls, Jimmy did it. Jimmy controlled all that stuff back then, and he did it. So I think that it's been years and years since they were in that locker room, and I agree with you on that. But I think that they know them guys up front well, because it's the same group, it's the same family. I kind of have a feeling they know a little more than what we think they know.
Maybe.
And they're putting it out there just to let everybody else know that they know more. I don't know if I said that all right, but
yeah. Well, hey,
I looked up to Troy. That was my big brother. If I could have had a big brother, Troy was it. He was my superhero, and so when he talks, I try to listen. He did it. He brought me my Super Bowl, so.
I get it. No, I'm with you. I mean, I'm the same way. I mean, I grew up watching all of those guys, and they were the heroes. So yeah, and I say that, and I mean that out of all due respect. And it's a balance. This whole thing. What you said about are they trying to make money? Are they trying to win the Super Bowl? I mean, it's a balance, and those guys that are being vocal, Emmett, Troy, Michael, I mean, they're not opening up restaurants or they're not selling merchandise or they're not on commercials and things like that. I mean, they're still making money. They're still, using their name to sell products and things like that. On that side of it, which they should do. They also have careers as well that they're doing. So it's a balance. And so I just don't agree with the. Is it this? Are they trying to win a Super Bowl? Or are they trying to make money? Because it's always been both. All right, Rob in Vegas. Rob, what's up?
Hey, Nick, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Watching that Super Bowl was awful.
Yeah.
It was like, well, what's crazy is it was like I was watching the '90s Cowboys. The Eagles are built so much like them, where they got great lines, great running back, great wide receivers, and their quarterback isn't asked to carry the team, but he's asked to make plays when he has to, and Hurts does.
Yeah.
And what's scary is they're so much better than us in every way. They're better at every position group but kicker. And their front office is, and they're going to build on this team, so you're going to have to contend with them for probably 4 or 5. They got a 4 or 5 year window, and they're not going to sit around. I mean, their owner sold 8% of the team to free up $665 million cash, so he could go buy, spend those signing, money for signing bonuses.
Rob, are you going to be an Eagles fan? Is that what you're telling us?
No.
Is that what I'm hearing?
No, but a Cowboy fan.
Yeah.
Wishes we were like the Eagles.
Good luck. Good luck with that. I know a team like the Eagles, but nobody wants to be Philadelphia.
No. The fans are garbage. The city is garbage. But
They have
That's
Rocky.
how you build it. That's how you build a team.
Yeah.
And you got to give Kellen Moore so much credit.
Yeah.
He walks in there and he says, "I know Jalen Hurts is making 50 plus, but he's not. If we focus on him, we're not going to win." And he changed the offense. We all laughed when we said, "Oh, Kellen Moore, he ain't going to run the ball." Well, shit, he proved us wrong.
Okay. All right,
and
Rob.
we're light years away, and free agency is the key. I don't want to hear about the draft. I could care less about the draft. If they don't go get a dominant defensive lineman like the guy from Philadelphia who's a free agent, because those are men. Those are grown men ready to rock and roll. The guys that are coming from college are not grown men yet. I need a grown-ass man right now. Go get me in free agency linemen. I could always get the pretty wide receiver or the running back in the draft. I want grown-ass men, and that's the line. Until you build up that line on both sides of the ball, you can't compete with the Eagles.
Yeah.
That's how they destroyed. I mean, they made Patrick Mahomes look like a rookie. I'd never seen him lost. I thought Philly would win. I didn't want to admit it to myself because I think Kansas City was kind of doing it with smoke and mirrors the whole
season,
the whole year.
Yeah.
But I just figured Mahomes will find something. No, he had no answers.
Yeah.
And the Eagles are young. They're so much younger than us.
I agree.
If this doesn't light a fire under Jerry, then we have no hope. Because I agree with the last caller. He would like to luck into a Super Bowl, but he's a money-making machine. That's probably why he doesn't spend in free agency, because he would rather take that cash and invest it in oil fields, and I'm sure he would get a bigger return. So to me, that's the only reason why he doesn't do the free agency like he did. And he was disgruntled to do it with CD, and he was disgruntled to do it with Dak.
Yeah.
But that's the only reason why I think he doesn't do it. He'd rather invest that money elsewhere.
Okay. All right, Rob. Appreciate that. And I agree with some of the stuff you're saying about Philly. I'll say this, though. And nobody wants to hear this when it comes to, like, money and stuff like that, but, like, Jerry Jones and the Cowboys could fill, I think we did the math on this, 63 salary caps. 63. Like, that's how much he's worth and the Cowboys are worth, is that if they could do the salary cap 63 times, and I don't even know what it is. It's 255, 260, whatever the cap is. But that's how many times he could do the cap. So when you're saying he'd rather use that money for oil, that is so stupid. I'll steal a word that you just said on the air for us that we need to not do again. But that's what that is. Like, to think that the money crosses over like that is ridiculous. Okay, it is. It's not even the same. It's about building the team, structuring it with the cap and how to use these resources here. But it's not. This money has nothing to do with that. Like I said, he could cover 63 salary caps. So we're not talking about that. All right. All right, Chris, did you want to say something? Do you have something?
Yeah,
to
I was
say?
going to say about the salary cap.
Go ahead,
He
Chris.
said he cannot use money that he doesn't use on the salary. It rolls over to the next year. That money for the salary cap is used for the players.
Right.
It doesn't roll over. So his statement is wrong.
Okay. He's got more money than that too. It's not like you're acting like all of his money goes, well, I could do this, or I could. I mean, that's not the case, and that's not the reason why. Now, I can't give you the reason on the coaching stuff. I don't about head coaches and why it doesn't pay more. I can't tell you. I don't have that one. But it doesn't come down. It's not because he doesn't have it. So, anyways, let's go to Raza in Springfield, Virginia. Raza.
Hey, Nick, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. I just want to say, give a shout out to the show. It's been my probably the only listen since you've been going to weekly, and with my job, it's hard to listen as much. But I always make sure I listen to my storyliners. It's just give a shout out to you guys.
Is this first time call? I feel like you've called before. No. Okay.
I called season 1 a couple of times, and then last year, mostly I just can't call when you're live. Today it snowed out here, so I have a day off of work.
Yeah.
I have a chance to call.
Well,
but I always listen. Make sure to listen.
All right. Awesome. Appreciate it.
Yep. And so I just want to go over just kind of my off-season wish list. And then one thing I just want to get off, why do we always have to be in the headlines? Super Bowl Sunday. Like that report, why did it need to come out? I mean, I guess, I don't know. And then I just really hope we get Micah done. I don't want to wait till an hour before week 1 like Dak was. I just hope we get Micah done early. Just, I don't want off-season every week. Oh, is Micah leaving? Is Micah going there? I just hope we get it done.
Yeah.
And then my one question to you before I go to my quick off-season wish list, do you think we'll spend in free agency this year, or it's going to be more like, are you getting the feeling like past couple of years?
Well, no, I think they're going to spend in free agency. I think free agency is going to look different because you do have so many guys that you have to sign. I mean, that you're losing. So you have to replace them. Do they replace them by re-signing them, or do they look elsewhere? And I think, based off a 7-10 record and a new coaching staff and a lot of new coaches around the league that are coming from different places, I think you're going to see more players in free agency signed than we have in the past. That doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be super aggressive. It just means I think they'll bring in more players because there's spots to fill. And I think in the past that they kind of fall in love with their own players and they re-sign, let's say 10 to 12 of their own guys. Maybe they only sign 6 of those and then they sign 6 or 7 from the outside. So I think it's going to look different. It's not necessarily going to be what everybody loves, I don't think, but I do think they're going to bring in some other players, and hopefully 1 or 2 of them are some guys like Rob said, some dudes, some grown men that can come in here and are ready to play and ready to compete at this highest level.
Okay. That sounds good. That sounds promising. So my wish list is to get a wide receiver in free agency. I want a free agent wide receiver instead of a rookie.
Okay.
Maybe we could draft the rookie later on, but I would hope we get like maybe Stephon Diggs, pair him up with his brother. That would be cool if they can rehab together and everything.
Yeah.
It'd be a cool thing if we could get him, or maybe even Keenan Allen, who I think might be a free agent from Chicago. And then basically I think this offseason is Genty or bust. I think we need Genty. This draft doesn't look so promising with like top-end talent. So I just really hope we get Genty, and that's just my thoughts. I think it's Genty or bust for next year.
Okay.
Thank you for taking my call, and enjoy your day.
All right. Well, thank you. I don't think they'll ever have that mentality on the draft of so-and-so, or bust. I mean, there's going to be other players, obviously, in the first round that could come in and help. And then as far as the running back position goes, I mean, I think that they'll sign a back, a proven solid back. And that could be Rico Dowdle because, I mean, I think for a 1,000-yard rushing season, he's proven that he can be good, solid to good. But that's not necessarily the difference maker. I think Rico Dowdle would be a solid number 2. I know he's probably his agent. They're going to probably try to get more than that, and maybe go to a place where he could start. So I think you sign those guys, you sign that type of player. That doesn't mean that you don't go and draft your running back, but you're gonna sign a running back in free agency, and have him here, have him on the roster, and then. Then you don't have to go and get a guy in the first round, but if he's there, you still do it, and then you've got 2 guys. But they're going to try to cover, they're going to put Band-Aids on some of these wounds at different positions and then hope that you can upgrade when you get to the draft if you need it. All right, let's go to Dylan in Northport, Florida.
Hey, Nick. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, man. So you're talking about free agency and draft and all this stuff, and the Cowboys have just crazy amounts of needs. They play this 1-year, 2-year contract game with their guys a lot, and so they're constantly in this bucket where there's 20-plus guys that need to get refreshed or positions that need to get refreshed, and they bring in lower tier guys again to refresh those positions, and that's fine. But this year they're losing some like cornerstone guys, like potentially losing, I should say, like a Zach Martin, like a DeMarcus Lawrence. You got Jordan Lewis and Osa obviously up, and PFF is saying Osa is going to fetch like $20 million a year. I'm out at that point. There's no way. I'll go draft a guy or get a big beefy boy in free agency for cheap and cheaper than that, I should say. But everybody's freaking out about there's like a civil war going on right now in Cowboy land. I don't know if you pay attention to Twitter much at all or not, but people are ready to like fight each other over should we grab Gentry in the draft? Should we go running back, D tackle, offensive lineman? If you mention grabbing an offensive lineman on Twitter, oh my God, dude, good luck. Good luck. You're dead to half the Cowboys population out there. And I think that's silly because it's the needs. You look at the names. I don't know why. You look at the names, right? And 3 out of the 5 positions, I think, are very questionable, and there's a pretty low ceiling or a moderate ceiling on those positions. You know, Tyler Smith and Beebe are the 2 guys that I'm confident in continuing to improve and play better. The other 3 spots, I don't know. And I think people are freaking out because they've already dedicated resources to those. And to me, it's like, I don't care if you've dedicated the resources. If they're not working out or they're not good enough, nothing else matters until, just like that one caller, I forget his name, but he always ends it with, got to have D-line and O-line.
Right.
And if you watch the Eagles play in the Super Bowl, nothing was more true than that.
You're referring to Lester in Minnesota, who's actually on the line. He'll be calling, or he'll be talking here after you. So you're right. I mean, that it doesn't matter. If it didn't work, it doesn't mean you keep using it. You know what I mean? If you buy a car and it doesn't run, you don't just keep driving it. You know, I mean, you got to get something better, and I agree with that. Now, I guess the question is Terrence Steele, like what is the thought on him? Is he broke down? Is he a guy that they can still lean on? That's one where I think that they're probably not going to make a change there, and they may try to lower his base salary, but I don't think he's going to go for that. And that one's going to be interesting. There's a lot of options there. You could release him or try to alter his contract a little.
I think we know what his ceiling is, and that's fine. I mean, he's only got, 2 years left at most on his contract, so it just kind of is what it is over there. If he's your worst offensive lineman, that's fine. I'm cool with that. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, they don't have, Guyton's obviously questionable. The right guard position's obviously questionable right now with Martin and his future and everything going on. So, and I'm not saying they have to go out and pick a guy in the first round on the offensive line. I'm just saying if it shapes up that way, that's fine. What I'm hoping for is a trade back scenario because you can throw a rock at this team and you're going to hit a hole. I mean, they got holes everywhere, needs everywhere. Yeah. So just best player available potentially, or trade back. I mean, whatever. And then last thing, real quick, as far as free agency goes, you don't got to sign a big contract guy. There's a lot of big names, key contributors for moderate prices, especially like linebacker and defensive interior. That's what I'm looking at in free agency, is the middle of the defense and seeing what I can do there.
Yeah, I mean, you got to hit. I mean, I think of all. Thanks for the call, Dylan. I mean, I think the Eagles, when you're looking at what they did, obviously they made the big move to get Saquon Barkley, but what, and that put them over the top, of course, on offense. And I think it made Kellen Moore look like a great offensive coordinator, and it helped him get a head coaching job. Let's not forget, I mean, he was with the Chargers, and he had a lot of talent over there, and it didn't really work out. And so, players matter. But was it Zach Bond on the other side? What a great move that was, and it wasn't a player that was highly coveted. I mean, that was just a player that that their coaches had a vision for. And that's what you need. That's what needs to happen here. You've got to hit on some of these. You've got to look at it and go, yeah, okay, this guy may not be considered a top name or a top draft pick or whatever, but he fits for me. And I always tell this story about Anthony Hitchens, the linebacker from Iowa that Mel Kiper or Todd McShay had as a 6th or 7th rounder. But Rod Marinelli thought he was going to be somebody special. He had a vision for his defense, and they picked him in the 4th round. And a lot of people scoffed that was a reach. Well, he had 100 tackles as a rookie, made all-rookie team, and started just about every game, and played about 10 years. And I know he went to the Chiefs, won some Super Bowls for them as well. But my point is that is that the coaches really need. That's why coaches and scouts have to work together when they're doing the draft process, because it's not only, yes, you've graded him here. Now, what can I do with him? And that's the big thing. Let's go to a break here real quick on StoryLine. I know we have 2 callers on the line. We'll go to a break, right, and then we'll be right back after this.
Cowboys fans, when it comes to navigating the ever-changing world of tax, your business needs a partner it can trust to tackle even your biggest tax challenges. Ryan is the largest firm in the world dedicated exclusively to business taxes. Our team of tax professionals has local expertise in all areas of tax and can help you uncover savings opportunities you didn't know you had. Learn more about how Ryan can improve your overall corporate tax performance by visiting Ryan.com. Ryan, the official tax partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
There is no I in Dallas. There is no I in Hart either. No I in Blue Star or in Lone Star for that matter. And there's no I in how about them Cowboys? Smirnoff knows there's no I in football. Football is a we thing, an experience that is best enjoyed together. With good drinks and good folks, home or away, we rally together. We cry together. And we always rally cry together because there's definitely no I in Cowboys fans. Smirnoff, we do game days. Please drink responsibly.
To Cowboys Storyline.
All right, welcome back to Cowboys Storyline. We got about maybe 10 minutes or so. So let's get back to the phone line. Lester in Minnesota. Lester, what's up?
Hey Nick, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Did you see that Super Bowl? Now that's what I'm talking about. Offensive and defensive line. I know you saw that.
Yep.
And this show here, I appreciate. I've heard a lot of callers in talking about the offensive and defensive line. I even heard you saying something about it. And then the reason why I say all that is because, again, if you're a quarterback, if you don't have an offensive line, your quarterback is on his back. You can't run the ball. And if you don't have a defensive line, you can't stop anybody. But what I'm also hearing today is that there's seem like a few people frustrated about spending money and this and that. Well, I'm not a salary capologist or anything like that, but I did take accounting in college. And there are ways, there's a lot of creative ways you can stack the money, Nick. And it'll take me about an hour to get into it. So I don't know if they are using some of those creative ways. I'm sure they are using some of them, but they're more than what they're using probably. You can do a lot to manipulate accounting. You really can. I mean, you really, really, really can.
Yeah.
So but it would take me a long time to kind of get into it. And I think that's the frustration because we see these other teams manipulating. And I know that philosophy is different from every team to team. But it just seems like without knowing that they're not using a lot of the accounting manipulation tools. They're using some, I'm sure, but it's a lot, man.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just called in to say, hey, how you doing, Cowboy fans? I didn't really like the results of the Super Bowl because there wasn't any Cowboys in there, but I did like the offensive and defensive line. And until we get a good to great offensive line and defensive line at the same time, this is what we got, Cowboy fans. Go Cowboys.
All right, Lester. I think this team can. I mean, they obviously can do better. I mean, they can do better with building the roster. To say they don't manipulate the cap and all that. Again, a lot of you guys are talking about stuff that you just don't know about. Like, and I can't. And I'm not telling you that you're right or wrong because I don't know either. Like, we don't know the specifics of the contract. Okay. And I'm sorry, but Spotrac and OverTheCap.com don't get into all of the specifics of the contracts as well. So just because you go to these websites and you can see what other people report off of it doesn't mean you know exactly what they're doing and what they did with Zach Martin's contract 2 years ago when he held out, and then how they manipulated this to get it to where they are right now. And now he's going to be a free agent, but they're probably going to cut him first and make him a June 1 cut. And I mean, like, there's a lot of things involved here. And so to sit here and say that they don't do it, no, that's not what it is. Let's just be real clear what it is. Other teams are better than the Cowboys right now. They got better players. They've drafted better. They've got better in free agency. They've just put the team together in a better way. That's what it is. So there's a lot of teams. There's some good football teams that did not make it to the Super Bowl, that didn't make it to the championship game. Cowboys were not a good team. They were an average team, a little bit below average, and they didn't make it there. Now, every year is different. To start this thing over again, they've hopefully they won't have as many injuries, but they need to build this team better so than they did before. That when they do have these injuries, that they can plug and play better players. So I'm not sitting here and going to try to tell you that hey, it's not as bad as you think. It's bad. I mean, it was and it doesn't look better with Philadelphia bringing a lot of guys back. Washington looks like they're ready to take another step, and they already took a big step last year. So it's going to be a challenge. Your schedule is going to be tough, even as a third place schedule. It's going to be tough. But I still think the Cowboys have really good players on this team, but they need to stockpile some good players. I think they've got great players, but they need a lot more good players, and that's what I think builds your team. Let's go to Ronnie in New Jersey.
Hey Nick, how you doing?
Ronnie, what's up?
Sounds like you're a little frustrated.
No. Listen, I'm not frustrated. It's just that I know a lot of people in the building here. I know the people that deal with the cap. I don't necessarily understand all the things that happen. I definitely don't know what goes on behind the scenes, which means you guys don't either. So what are we talking about here? Here's what we know. Cowboys aren't good enough right now. They have not been good enough. They weren't good enough to even make it to the playoffs last year. So they figure out a way to get better than that. But to say that they don't manipulate the cap, I mean, yes, they do it. Have they hit right? No, they haven't. They haven't. They need to do a better job. Whatever they're doing, they need to do a better job. But to say that they're sitting back and they just run these, cookie cutter contracts that are black and white, that's not the case. All right. Sorry, Ronnie.
I think the frustrating part is, Nick, and where everybody mentions the cap, and that's why everybody's talking about the cap.
Yeah.
It's because teams like Philadelphia and all these other teams, they were supposed to be in salary cap hell and all this stuff. Wait until they sign Jalen Hurts. I remember when Ryan Brothers was like, when they sign Hurts, they're going to be in the same situation we are in, and they're not.
Well, they haven't done anything with Hurts yet. I mean, like they signed him, but it's not until your third year or so. Because you got to remember that they signed Dak a couple times too, and when you first sign him, you can make the contract however you want. It's about that third year when it really hits. But again, Philadelphia they've added help. That's the thing that Philadelphia did is they signed him, but then they gave him a running game. And that's what the Cowboys haven't done. They're like leaned on Dak. Like, hey, here's the guy, Dak and CD. It's okay if you run the ball. Philadelphia proved that. Hurts won MVP, but he wasn't. He had good, solid numbers. But I mean, they were leaning on the defense, and they leaned on Barkley, and the Chiefs took Barkley away, and look what happened.
It's also frustrating because we've had our chances. We had some good teams, and these teams, and listen, we're watching our rivals being in the championship game. Okay, that's one thing. Then you see one of our rivals win the Super Bowl. That's another thing. That's like more frustration build up on top of frustration. And then us not being able to even get to like the second round or past the second round. It's where, I think all of us as fans.
No, I get it.
And you should. If Jerry Jones listens to the show, I mean, I know you've been asked that.
Yeah.
But if he was to listen to the show, he will understand that this is where all the fans are at. Like all this frustration that you're getting, like people are getting calls or coming through. That's just like build up. You know what I'm saying? Over the years, and now you're seeing Philadelphia being in the Super Bowl twice and winning it once. So that's the most hated team in our rivalry right now. Like, and they've been because of the way they are, but. When the salary cap thing, Nick, I think it's because Stephen Jones and Jerry Jones always talk about the cap. That's their number one thing. They mention the cap, so that's why we are like so into the cap. well, is Philadelphia, are they smarter than the Joneses with dealing with the cap? Or the Rams or any of these other teams?
I tell you what they're doing better.
Smarter people.
I tell you what those teams are doing better than the Cowboys is
they got free agents.
They're drafting better. They're drafting better. I mean, you can say free agency. Yeah, free agency. The Eagles did a much better job in free agency, obviously, but they're drafting better. And so, you know, Will McClay doesn't get a pass anymore, okay? Will McClay, they have to draft better. The last 2 or 3 years have not been good. Their second-round picks, third-round picks, even first-round picks haven't hit the success. You got the Eagles got defensive players scoring touchdowns. You've got defensive rookies of the year. I mean, they're drafting better than the Cowboys.
The reason we don't put so much on McClay, these past couple of first-round picks haven't hit, but the second-round picks, everybody knows. Well, the way it seems like it's more Jerry Jones because Jerry likes taking risk on hurt guys, and he's been taking risk on hurt guys for years now. So yeah, that's like the comment that they gave you, like, well, a team won a Super Bowl, whatever, a player with one hand behind their back, or which is a one-hand player. That's what you're doing when you're taking away a second-round pick and investing it in a injured guy or in a guy that, you know, it's not going to start this year or whatever. You need this draft. You need help now. Like, you need help with free agents. You need help now. You need help with the whole draft. So I think that's where the frustration.
But you see, that's easy though. Like, you're right. There have been a lot of that in the second round. I don't know if the last 2 picks in the second round were that type of picks. I mean, I Schoonmaker, Marshawn Nealon. I don't know.
They just missed.
They missed, and that's the thing. And I love Will McClay, and I'm so happy that they brought him back, and I'm glad that he's here. You know, he has GM type duties. Okay, he does. He does. He has. I mean, he's not the GM, but he gets leaned on a lot in there, both free agency and the draft. And he knows that they have to do better. They have to draft better. You can say what you want about free agency, but if your plan is to lean on the draft, then they have to draft better than they have the last 2 or 3 years, because they really haven't been that good, I think, for the last 3 years. Micah was a huge hit. Deron Bland was a hit, but you know he got hurt, took a step back. Jake Ferguson made a Pro Bowl, but took a step back last year, also got hurt. So they need to do more of those and get more of those. Let's go one more call. Ali in Florida. Sorry, we're running out of time. Ali, what's up?
Good morning, sir.
How are you?
Pretty good, buddy. First of all, say hello to Jacob and Chris's children, number one. Number two, you took some of my point. You're right. As far as the Dak is $60 million quarterback. Right now, offensive line is the most important. Defensive tackle and running back, we have a lot of them. I mean, it's a pretty deep. But if you look at the Super Bowl, Jalen Hurts has a big, huge pocket in front of him versus Mahomes. And all I have to say, and let me know when do you want Woody's picture, so I'll work on it. Love you, brother. Right. Nice talking to you. I'll make it quick. Bye.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Ali. Yeah. Darren said he likes the lion. Maybe that was a Micah reference. Who knows? But no, I mean, again, and this is not just for Ali, this is for everybody. This is for Rob in Vegas. This is for Ronnie in New Jersey, Dylan, Lester, all of them that have called here lately. And I totally get the frustration. I'm just saying, let's argue about the things that we kind of know about. But whatever the strategy is, whatever it is, it just hasn't been good enough. And y'all know that. I know it. And they know it. Hopefully they know it as well. And so I'm not trying to side with them. What I'm saying is that, you know, just because you see it one way or another, that doesn't mean they're not trying here. But it hasn't worked. It just hasn't worked. And I get that. Y'all see it, and we all see that too. So your frustration is warranted. It's never fun to see the Eagles win. Because you know that's 2 games on your schedule that are going to be tough, home and away. That's always going to be tough, and it's going to be really tough because you're not even close to them right now. You're not even close. Was it 75-13? That's the 2 scores. And Dak didn't play, but He's not making up 75-13 just because he's in there. I don't think. It's a lot more than that. They won 14 games in the regular season and then 4 more, and you won 7. Not even close right now. Not even close, and that's a tough thing. That's where they got to get to, and they got to keep building for that. All right, guys, great show. Appreciate it. We'll be back next Wednesday to talk about it again. So for Chris Beam, I'm Nick Eatman. See you next week on Storyline.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!